Welcome to Angerville, to another CoH2 replay cast. This one is going to be from CoH2.org, sent in by Skyshark, playing as British, North Side, against Johnson, playing as OKW, in the South Side, who's going to go for an early Kubo. So we're going to see Kubo first, which on this map can work out because Angerville, in case you don't know, is all about capping, counter-capping, getting cutoffs, and just occupying good positions with your men, like these houses over here and over here, while at the same time maintaining some decent map control. So in case you have never seen the map, here it is. There's 2 fuel points on the far side, along with 2 munitions points on the far side. Always very contested areas. And the victory points, 2 of them are on the right side. 1 of them is on the left side with almost no cover protecting it. And in the center we have the Road of Death, which is pretty much the spot where everyone places all the mines and where everyone, gets all their men killed because of the negative cover. And there's the hedges that prevent, well, at least until heavy tanks show up and break them, that prevent contact between the 2 sides, along with 2 houses in the main road that everyone always fights over. So we're going to have 2 Storm Pioneer opening along with a Kubo wagon. So this is going to leave him vulnerable to any kind of a Brand Carrier, but it doesn't look like he went for a Brand Carrier. And it also leaves him possibly vulnerable to some long-range engagements, which on this map are plenty. Map is one where obviously there's lots of long ranges and sometimes lots of heavy cover depending on where you're looking, especially over here and over here. There's lots of heavy cover. So we're gonna have a nice cutoff from the Storm Pioneers cutoff move. What these infantry sections should have been doing instead of capping the fuel point is honestly just going back and harassing Storm Pioneers. Unfortunately for the British, he decided to go for putting his MG in the main house, the cutoff house, which will work out for him fairly well because of the fact that this prevents him from bringing up more reinforcements. So, of course, the Storm Pioneers are going to keep control of this northern house, but unfortunately for them, they can't really win a long-range engagement. But unfortunately for the infantry sections, which should be capping right now as they are moving right now, the infantry sections cannot really move up because they'd get pretty much defeated by the Storm Pioneers at any kind of medium or close range. They need to stick to their long-range advantage. So they do manage to recapture the cutoff and regain the fuel income, along with a 3rd infantry section that's on the field and a 2nd one that's capping the southern cutoff point. Of course, there's nothing to cut off because all of the northern points belong to the British. On the other side, we do see the usefulness of the Kubo wagon. It's capped the entirety of the left that's worth capping, and now is able to grab control of the fuel point as well as the munitions point and the VP. And we'll soon be able to get more points for the OKW, which will definitely add to the resource lead that the OKW already has, especially since the Storm Pioneers went for a nice T-cap on the fuel point, while the infantry sections were busy. So that's definitely some good play from Johnson, keeping map control fairly in his favor, which will help him out greatly. You don't want the British with resource lead, especially. So it looks like we have Vanguard operations chosen, as the Storm Pioneers will probably be forced out of the house. Unfortunately for the British, another Storm Pioneer squad is ready to reinforce. But what they do not know is that there's an MG lying in wait, and will probably manage to suppress the squad before it can do any damage. Actually, yes, it will completely deny any kind of usefulness from the squad in the engagement and force them to retreat. At the same time, though, the Volksgrenadiers have picked up the job of capturing the fuel point, and they will be able to turn it blue. So this will mean that it will take quite some time, even if these Volksgrenadiers are repelled, which they likely will, because infantry sections pretty much defeat them outright at this kind of range with this even cover. Even if they are repelled, it will be a while before the British have any fuel income, especially since the left side is completely under the control of the Germans. And these strategic points, they may not give you that many resources, but once you have many of them and they add up, it becomes very, very nice to own a few of these. So the Volksgrenadiers do manage to repel 1 infantry section, inflicting major casualties, and that's a lot of manpower bleed for the British, who are getting out a sniper. I agree with the decision because he kind of needs a unit that will guarantee him winning some engagements. And the sniper is perfect to do that on a map like Angerville with fully long-range gates. So we have a nice cutoff again from the Kubo, again showing its usefulness as just a capper and a harasser. definitely want to be keeping the British off the fuel tap as much as possible. Of course, the MG in this house is working out fairly well in denying the right side to the Germans. They can't really get any resources out of it because of this cutoff. Of course, they own the entirety of the north, and the Kubuwagen manages to get off a really nice burst on the sniper. Sniper will likely die, actually, because he tried to take another shot, and he's really lucky to escape with a sliver of health. He does have a few infantry sections with medic upgrades, so he's going to retreat one of them, which needs reinforcing, and will heal up the sniper, no problem. But yes, the sniper is very vulnerable to the Kubuwagen, because the Kubuwagen, along with a few other vehicles like the 222 and the brain carrier, has a bonus accuracy against snipers, because obviously it's meant as a sniper hunter in terms of its fighting abilities and not as a regular vehicle, along with its utility. So the sniper will get healed up in the base. The British really right now need some kind of vehicle to just put under pressure before there's any kind of German light vehicle slash tank that comes on the field, because right now the Germans are lacking in AT. They only have one Panzerschreck. He is getting a support gun. I do not agree with the support gun. He obviously means the support gun to force this MG out of the cutoff house, but he doesn't need a league to do that. He could just push up one unit from the south, maybe a Stern Pioneer, draw the fire, and just come up with his Volksgrenadiers from the other side and throw an incendiary grenade, and that would work out well enough to dislodge the MG. But he will get a support gun also to counter the sniper, just not allow it to stand still for too long. Of course, he's using the sniper to force back the Kubo. I do not agree with that targeting, because the Stern Pioneers are 30 manpower each to reinforce, so you'd want to be dropping the models off of these squads that are very expensive to reinforce. So he now starts to do that and completely almost annihilates an entire Stern Pioneer squad. So definitely good switch in tactics. Of course, the support gun is going to start making its presence felt and dealing heavy damage to these infantry sections, forcing one to retreat off the field, inflicting one loss. Of course, a Raketenwerfer is really, really important right now for the OKW, and I'm really surprised that he's not getting one, and I think it's a very bad mistake, because right now the AEC is likely coming, and even if he didn't think an AEC coming, he would still, just have to get some kind of AT eventually, and what better time than now when he has the superiority on the field. Of course, thanks to the sniper, which he isn't able to counter because the Kubuwagen took some pretty heavy damage from the sniper when it was just too far away, and it wasn't able to sneak up in time. Because of this, he cannot really chase away the sniper too effectively, and he's taking heavy losses in this engagement. He won't lose the engagement thanks in part to the League, and thanks in part to the resilience of the Volksgrenadiers, but he will not be able to just force back the British and get control of some of the map again, because right now he really needs to regain this cutoff, because right now the British are getting the full benefit of the right side, without any kind of contest coming in from the OKW. And that's definitely not what you want to happen. So an Strike Snipe will come in from the Volksgrenadiers, who will also throw an incendiary grenade on the other infantry sections, and will force away 2 infantry sections with 1 Volksgrenadier squad, so that's pretty good for him. Of course, the sniper will come in to pick off some more German soldiers. Already up to 5 kills, now 6. So that was definitely a good purchase, except for that little mistake that he did at the beginning. It's been working out really well for him. See, the AEC is on the field. Now, the AEC has been nerfed, but it can still be a pretty good unit, especially when you're fearing light vehicles from the enemy. But of course, really right now the only light vehicles that you see is the Kubuwagen. But of course, he doesn't know that there's this flare on the field, which is going to prove a problem for him. But we will see how he reacts when he sees that he's about to encounter its fire fairly soon, because he just now stepping in range, and he hadn't seen the truck earlier. So instantly retreating. The AEC really shouldn't be trying to fight under the range of the Schwer. Wisely pulls back, and wisely also decides to purchase a Royal Engineer squad, which he needs right now. Schwer did manage to also get some shots in on the sniper, so that's good. We'll keep him off the field for a few more seconds. Right now, the Germans should really be trying to make some kind of harassing move to the right side. They have a lot of free units that aren't really doing anything. Like here at base, they were at base for like a good minute. And you really don't want to be wasting units idle when the enemy has map control. You'd want to be trying to regain the map control and just... Especially when he holds an entire side of the map on Angovale, a map that has some notoriously easy cutoffs with 1 MG. Only 1 MG to hold an entire side. And of course, so he finally realizes that he can throw an incendiary grenade also over the hedge, which I didn't think about because I'm just very smart. He will be able to just force back the MG at this point and probably take control of the house. Doesn't matter that it's on fire. He can just probably pop in one Volkswagen here. Now he can pretty much own the right side of the map. The British are responding in kind with sending in their entire infantry force, whereas the AEC and the AT gun and the sniper will hold the left, whatever small area of the left he holds. But he can definitely do some recapping. If it wasn't for the Schwer, you could do some very nice recapping. But he will bring up the AT gun to hopefully fire on it. There's a bit of a slope in the way, but it should work out in the end. So on the right side, the Vickers did manage to get into this wooden building, but he will be pretty much surrounded by 3 squads of infantry. Of course, he does manage to suppress one of them, but an incendiary grenade along with the flanking storm pioneers will force him away and wipe the MG. And the MG will be recruited fairly soon enough, which is really, really bad because you really don't want to be handing out such a good MG to the enemy, but he was very, very badly outflanked there, and he should have retreated earlier. So that's just a bit of misplay. So he will be able to actually flank the MG himself. He, for some reason, doesn't finish the flank with this top unit, but he does manage to flank with the units from the south, and he will force away the MG. His opponent not making the same mistake that he did, so that's good. So the AT gun is starting to fire on the Schwer, only now managing to spare the micro to just order an attack round. Possibly, I don't see it firing. You should just attack round right here. So we do have Obersoldaten on the field and a mortar pit. So we're gonna see the nice manpower sinks on the field fairly soon. Obersoldaten being upgraded right now with LMGs. He does definitely need the anti-infantry firepower to deal with the British at long range, but he needs to be careful of the sniper. You don't want to be losing lots of Obersoldaten, and he is getting a second squad. You don't want to be bleeding Obersoldaten, which are very expensive to reinforce to a sniper, which is, I predict, what will happen, because it's kind of hard to predict where the sniper will be if your opponent uses it wisely. Of course, it hasn't been healed in a while, which is a mistake, but it will probably be remedied soon. So the mortar pit is up and is firing on the Schwer Panzer headquarters, but the support gun is doing some nice counter battery fire with the barrage ability, and gets a nice fed one off of that, taking off half the HP of the French mortar emplacement, which should be bracing right now, and just letting the AT gun do its duty. Of course, the AEC armored car is kind of wasted on the left side. It should be sent to the right side, where it can do some nice work. Looks like we won't have brace because he doesn't need it. The support gun is on cooldown. The barrage only now coming off the cooldown. We'll probably be firing on the mortar emplacement fairly soon. We do have a big engagement on the right side, which went well for the Germans, thanks to the fact that their stolen Vickers was able to get into the cutoff house and force back a few of the British infantry squads with some nice suppressing fire. Right now, the British are in a pretty bad situation because the Germans will have control of both fuels fairly soon, and possibly all of the VPs as well, if these Obersoldaten went to the VP after capturing the cutoff. Do have a push from the Volksrangers attempting to finish off the sniper, but not being able to find the snipe on the sniper, and they will be almost wiped, fairly low HP. Of course, we do have the support gun still firing on the free-range mortar emplacement. Looks like the sappers are more interested in pushing up for some reason instead of trying to repair. Probably doesn't want to repair under fire though, which is wise. We do have Vanguard operations. Advanced Operations is another one. Vanguard Operations chosen. It was chosen since the beginning of the game. We haven't seen the forward logistics glider. I mean, the glider wouldn't be of much help in this situation, just because all of the fighting is happening so close to the British base that you know, having a retreat point wouldn't really help out that much, because he's just retreating to the base anyway, and it's really fast for him. But the vehicle crew repairs might come in handy once he has the Centaur on the field, and possibly once he has the Crocodile, he will be able to do some nice pushes, especially along with the strafing run. He is saving up a lot of munitions. Probably should be considering upgrading weapon racks for using some of that munitions float with some Bren guns, and you know, just the Bren guns will help out very greatly against the Obersoldaten and the Volksgrenadiers at long range. And also for keeping these storm piles off his precious units. We do have a Panzer IV coming on the field. You should have been expecting the Panzer IV because if you look at the bulletins, it's free Panzer IV armor. So the Centaur is on the field. It will be able to force back the Vickers MG. The Centaur can be a good unit in this situation, especially considering he is going for 2 AT guns. 2 AT guns on Angleville should be enough to protect against the Panzer IV, because Angleville, with its very wide lanes, with very just open line of sight, is a pretty good ground for AT guns. First, we do have the mortar emplacement, which doesn't know what brace is, and it will be destroyed by the Volksgrenadiers, who do throw an incendiary grenade on the carcass because they didn't think it would die that quickly. We do have a nice mine, very good mine placement. He should be, now that he doesn't need his Royal Engineers to repair his mortar pit, he should be placing more mines with his Royal Engineers all over the map. He is managing to regain the control of the cutoff point and the fuel point, so it's definitely good for him. He was also regaining the VPs. VP situation is in favor of the Allies with about 100 VP lead, but at this point really anything can happen that will turn the tide in that regard, so it's really no problem for the Germans. So the Obersoldaten are kind of, you know, overstaying their welcome, and they will be punished by the Centaur, but the Centaur, interestingly enough, doesn't wipe any models off because it missed pretty much every shot. So we do have the Panzer IV making its first appearance. The Centaur is completely unprepared. There are no AT guns around here. One of the AT guns is here, but the other one is at the base. The Centaur will need to retreat fairly quickly, but it doesn't look like he will be able to retreat one of the AT guns in time, and will probably die because of its overextension. Now, what the British player should have done differently is bringing up the AT gun along with the Centaur. So the Centaur will get abandoned, but at the same time, there's really nothing the British can do to stop the Panzer IV from just finishing it off. The AEC armored car will be chased by off by the Panzer IV, and it's at really no HP and will pop smoke, which might save him in time. The AT gun is able to do some heavy damage to the Panzer IV, but the Panzer IV is still alive. It actually misclicks into the house instead of the Centaur with the attack command, and the shot will bounce. But never mind the fact that the AT gun isn't moving up, which it probably should. Another bounce coming in, so it's nice RNG work coming in from Relic, and another bounce. Okay, thanks. Oh, so the sniper will come in and destroy the turret traverse of the sniper with a nice critical shot. Of course, had the AT gun been pushing up all this entire time, the Panzer IV would be already dead, instead of, you know, having had the time to get some pioneers together and repair. Of course, one thing both of these players aren't doing well is the fact that they're just leaving their infantry units idle all the time for some reason. So the Storm Pioneers come in and recapture the Centaur, and of course the Centaur dies, so that's good, because that was a good play, because you don't want to be leaving the Centaur into enemy hands, and if you just take it like that, you force the enemy to destroy it. So that was a good play out of the OKW, who is floating quite a bit of manpower and quite a bit of fuel. I have a feeling he should be wanting to save for a King Tiger, but he did go Elite Armored, so a Storm Tiger is more likely. Storm Tiger can be good on this map because there's a lot of line of sight blockers, and the Storm Tiger can shoot out over pretty much anything. So you'd want to be hiding it behind a hedgerow and shooting over it. We do have the AEC back for revenge. We'll be dealing some nice damage. We have a second AEC coming on the field. I completely do not agree with this. He should be going for a Cromwell to bridge the gap between the AEC to the Crocodile, or perhaps a Sherman Firefly. could also be a good idea to get rid of some of the munitions float and secure yourself against any kind of Panzer IV that the enemy brings in, and also against any kind of heavier vehicles, because that's what the Firefly is for. So we do have the Shrek'd up Volksgrenadiers, which should probably be augmented by another Shrek'd up Volksgrenadier. Only two of them when the enemy is starting to bring out armor is kind of light, especially when you don't have Reckenwerfers. But he's clearly relying a lot on his Panzer IV to just shield off his infantry units like the Obersoldaten, which, you know, can work. We'll see if it does. Again, I just think that some of his manpower float could be reduced. He's going for another Panzer IV, which is probably a good idea, honestly. He wants to keep control of the lead he has, and he doesn't want to wait for his heavier armor like the King Tiger. So he will just double down on the Panzer IVs, which are a pretty good unit, and I mean, it's working for him so far. The Panzer IV will be really good against the ACs. Now that he sees that there's two ACs, he won't really be fearing any kind of British heavy anti-tank like the Firefly, so you can get away with two Panzer IVs. So the Sturm Pioneer squad does go into its death against the four infantry sections. Now, of course, some weapon racks would really help you out, Sky Shark, because you really need your infantry to be superior at long range with the Wrens, especially when you have 4 of them. You don't want your expensive, in terms of manpower, infantry to be inferior to the enemies. At the same time, the sniper has been working out fairly well for the British, but the sniper alone cannot win you every engagement, so you'd want to be prepared with your infantry as well. So we do have another MG coming on the field. Now, I do not agree with the MG. I think that perhaps another AT gun would be a wiser decision. And the reason I say the AT gun is because he doesn't really know that there's a second Panzer IV on the field. So for all he knows, there could be a King Tiger coming in, and for, you know, for 2 AT guns and 2 AECs, it's pretty easy for a heavier vehicle to just punch through that line. Of course, now he sees that there's 2 Panzer IVs, so with clever positioning of his AT guns and good usage of the sniper critical shot and the AEC critical shot, he should be able to repel the 2 Panzer IVs. Of course, with one AT gun that is, one AT gun that is actually being flanked by the 2 Panzer IVs, and the other AT gun is back at base, so it does look like this one AT gun will go down. It was placed a little bit too far forward without enough protection from the infantry. And the AECs are still unrepaired because there's only one Royal Engineer squad. That was also a mistake, only getting one of them. And the AECs going up here is a very risky maneuver. If the Panzer IVs can manage to chase along with the support of the Shreks, he won't be able to deal much. So it looks like he's being chased back into his base, and he really shouldn't have bought this second AEC. You should have gotten a Cromwell or a Sherman Firefly to just handle the Panzer IVs better and gotten some kind of weapon racks for his infantry. Bren's on all of his blob would have helped out immensely. He does have the resources for some 5 Bren guns, which would be way more than enough to turn the tide of pretty much all these engagements in his favor. Because while the 2 Obersoldaten with the LMGs are dangerous, until they reach, you know, heavy Vet, you know, Vet 4, Vet 5, they won't be able to just punch through superior, you know, infantry in numbers. Of course, we do have a overzealous push from the Germans. 1 Panzer IV goes down, the AT gun also goes down, the AECs are very close to going down. We do have the sniper who still has the critical shot, who might be able to actually completely wipe a Obersoldaten squad. Also, 1 Volksgrenadier squad who got wiped, and the Panzer IV will get critical by the sniper, which is now and also run over the very nice place mine, along with the strafing support from the Typhoons, doing some heavy damage to the German infantry and armor. So it looks like this engagement turns around a lot of the bad luck, you know, bad misfortune that the British have had so far. Mostly because of the fact that the Germans tried to push into the base, and that's never a good idea. That's never a good idea, because the enemy AT guns, when you're relying on armor superiority, AT guns are way stronger in bases than they are, you know, elsewhere, because you can just reinforce the crew, and you will not be able to wipe it in time. And even if you can wipe the crew, enemy infantry will be close by to reinforce after they recapture the AT gun, and he had to focus both of his Panzer IVs on the AT gun, and that pretty much allowed the AECs to fire with complete impunity, along with the sniper. And also because of the fact that he kind of mismicroed his infantry. He was clearly too focused on his tanks, and just left his infantry to die, which is really bad, especially as OKW. As all factions, it's really bad to let your vetted infantry die, but especially as OKW, because when they are vetted, they just become so much stronger, and you just need, well, you don't always need that vet, but if you do have it, things become really, really easy. So he does replace one of his Volksgrenadiers and also one of his Obersoldaten, but he doesn't have the munitions to replace them as well. He does have, if he hadn't replaced this Obersoldaten squad, he might have been able to grab a Storm Tiger for himself. He definitely would have been able to grab a Storm Tiger for himself, which would have been the better decision. Because right now, what he could do is, by this time, he does have the VP advantage because he held 3 VPs for a good 5 minutes, so he bled off about 150 VPs from the British. So he could buy this time with the Storm Tiger and just play defensively, use the Storm Tiger to wipe whatever, just get some wipes on unsuspecting British units, because the first few shots of the Storm Tiger are always the ones that will do the least damage, because that is when the enemy will not be expecting to get his units wiped by a stray Storm Tiger shot out of nowhere. So you could use that to his advantage and wipe out some of the vet off the British units, possibly destroy the AECs with a very well placed shot. He could destroy the AECs, and he could also destroy the Cromwell. But unfortunately, he decided to go for an Obersoldaten squad, which will get decimated by the Cromwell, and also another Panzer IV. I really do not see why he wouldn't go for the Storm Tiger. I mean, he went the Doctrine for it, and it could definitely help him out, because right now what's keeping the British in the game is the fact that they have lots of units that are also kind of well vetted up. But all these units aren't very high tech. They're pretty much all early to mid game units. So if the Storm Tiger comes on the field and wipes off a few of them, there's two things that then the British player can do. He can either rebuild them, or he can just try and buy this time for the Crocodile. And if he just loses enough units while waiting for the later game units, then he will not be able to win. And if he rebuilds the low-tech units, then, well, he will not have the vet, and you will have his late game delayed once more. Just buying more time for the Germans to, get maybe a King Tiger on the field. So, looks like the MG34 light machine gun will be dropped by the squad, even though it's still heavy, high HP. So the Panzer IV comes on the field and manages to flank the Cromwell along with the Shreks, but the Shreks will be suppressed by the Vickers and V. In this house, of course, the Cromwell goes down. The AECs come on the field to just take a few pot shots at the Panzer IV. It looks like an entire Volksgrenadier squad is about to go down from a nice flanking rear echelon. Why did I say that? They do survive, but the Panzer IV goes down to the. Actually, no, the squad dies, and the Panzer IV goes down to the AECs, one of which is vet free. So that will definitely help out the British in an anti-tank. The stolen Vickers is still wreaking havoc on the British infantry and will force them to retreat, but at the same time, the Vickers that is still under the control of the British has completely wrecked one of the Volksgrenadier squad, which was not able to assist in the fight because it had to stay in the house to avoid getting suppressed. You have smoke repairs popped. That will definitely get the ACs back on the fight as soon as possible. And as you can see, the Panzer IV that he built was destroyed, which was not a good idea. He will salvage it, so that's a good play. He hasn't been salvaging many of the wrecks, but he is definitely starting to do that now, which he should have been doing earlier, but better late than never. And of course, he will be sniped at maximum range by the Vickers machine gun. Vickers machine guns are very deadly in buildings, and he will surrender. So, mistakes. Of course, not going for the Storm Tiger when he could have gone for it and just wiped the floor with, a surprise shot. went to throw the British with a surprise shot and cruised off into a win is definitely a really bad mistake. He played well enough with his armor for a while, and then decided to go in a base push. Base pushes are always a bad idea, especially when you hold 3 VPs. There would have been no way the British would have been able to. There would have been no way the British would have been able to push up against the 2 Panzer IVs if cleverly hidden from the AT guns. But he was a bit too reckless and paid for it. The British, too much munitions float, too much ACs. The second AC was very unnecessary, even as they did well. The second one was unnecessary. A bit of a misplay with the Centaur as well. I should have been bringing up the AT gun to support. And just a little bit, be a little bit more dynamic with your units. Keeping all those units at the left side and fighting only with your infantry sections on the right side didn't really help out at all in the end. Yes, you could have been flanked from here, but really there would have been no danger because of the fact that there was really nothing to defend over on the left side. And also later on when the Panzer IV showed up, obviously the AT gun was on the wrong side, and also the AT gun really not being used aggressively enough to destroy the Schwer Panzer headquarters was also kind of a mistake. Also, yes, the munitions flow, not planting more mines. The one mine you did plant, though, was very, very crucial, so that's good. So yeah, I hope you learned something from the replay, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.